She claimed GOP lawmakers will try to restrict access to abortion, contraception, and in vitro fertilization in every single state. Warren added Democrats will try and add protections to all three if they win both chambers of Congress and the White House come November. I'm Chris Coraggio, NBC News Radio.
NBC News on KCAA Loma Linda, sponsored by Teamsters Local 1932, protecting the future of working families. Teamsters1932.org.
Feeling good, like I should. When in dark, I walk around the neighborhood. Feeling blessed, never stressed. Got that sunshine on my Sunday best.
Welcome back, everybody. You're listening to Whatever Works on KCAA 1050 AM and Express 106.5 FM. I'm your host, Sam Works.
I'm Kyle Kerrigan.
And it is another beautiful day. It's another Sunday. For everyone who are tuning in, we want to thank you guys for listening to the show. It is the show that gets down with any type of topic, right?
Yeah.
You know, when we first started the show, we're discussing, like, hey, we are not going to talk about politics. We're not going to talk about religion. Yeah. But we talk about it all, right?
Yeah, but we've had politicians on. We've had priests on.
Yeah, you know, and the whole show is based on whatever works. So we can't really, there ain't no boundaries in this show. So if you guys want to call in, if you guys want to talk about something, any topic at all, you guys can call this number.
888-909-1050. That is 888-909-1050.
Man, we sound like we rehearsed, dude.
Yeah, dude.
Like we do this every weekend.
Yeah, it sounds like we do this for a while. And that's a good thing.
Hey, so glad to be back. You know, last week was Father's Day. We had Kyle's dad on. The one and only Ken Kerrigan. And honestly, it was a really good show.
It was.
It was an awesome show.
It was a hit.
And if you guys want to go back and listen to that show or any other previous shows that we've done in the past 3 years or so, right?
Yeah.
How do you find them?
You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and our website.
Yes. Just look us up.
KCAA Whatever Works.
Yeah, KCAA Whatever Works. And before we start jumping onto topics, we're going to give a shout out to our sponsor.
SNJRadio.com. No negative news, no politics, just feel good music.
And if you guys want to be a sponsor as well, you guys can always give us, shoot us an email, text, or even message us on Instagram.
Yeah.
You know, we love helping the community. This is what we do. This is what we're here for. So, you know, everyone's trying to thrive. Everyone's trying to make it in today's world, which that's kind of like something I want to talk about because I had a lot of conversations just this whole past week about like society and how everyone's trying to just make it alive. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The most like recent one, I was talking to my lady and I was like, imagine being like your whole life, you fought through World War I, you fought through World War II, you went through all the wars, and like you're thinking to yourself, this is what life is all about, you know, just going to war, you know, with each other because like that's what they lived throughout their whole entire lives at that point of time, you know.
Yeah.
And then if you fast forward to now, it's like, okay, what are we doing now? What's our purpose? Like, what's the life that we're supposed to live now?
Right, exactly.
You know. And unfortunately, a lot of people are working for their lives.
Yeah.
Like, they spend the majority of their whole life working.
Yeah,
you know?
I was actually reading today. Yeah, to live comfortably as a single person in California, you have to make $117,000.
$117,000
to live comfortably.
Comfortably. Now, I mean, we can go into detail, like, what's the definition of living comfortably? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, having toys, you know what I mean? Like, having a house, how big of a house, you know, things like that.
Yeah.
Eating what you want, not looking at price tags or looking at the menu. Because, you know, most people, when they look at a menu, when they go out to eat, right, they read from right to left.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like raise your hand if you're guilty. You look at the price first, and then you see
Yeah.
what it is. You know.
Hey, what's up, Picasso?
And so and it's like we got to somehow get out of that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because you can't just like another thing. Something that someone told me. They said, yes, fast food is cheaper, yada yada yada, but ending up in the hospital because of your health issues, like that's expensive.
Right, exactly.
So like buying expensive foods now actually saves you in the long run because a lot of things people take face value.
Right, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And that's you gotta think around. You gotta be 5 steps ahead. You gotta figure your stuff out. And one thing that people always say in California, you gotta have 2 jobs and a side hustle.
Yeah. It might be more like 3 and 2 now.
Yeah, honestly. And you need a partner to help you, get through it. Because statistically speaking, there's an increase of people working 2 jobs.
Yep.
Here in America.
Yeah.
And there is an increase of businesses putting people on part-time. So less people are working full-time and more people are working 2 jobs.
Which doesn't make sense.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Like the job that I worked at, he's a young guy. He owns this restaurant, and he turned this restaurant into something.
Yeah.
Something special. It's a really nice restaurant. But, I went on one vacation. I put in 2 weeks in advance. I was like, hey, I just need the weekend off. And I used to work like 4 days on average, 4 days a week. I come back. He's like, all right, you work 1 day. All right, now I'm just going to give you 2 days. And it's like people can, like when they see that, they think they're upset. They're like, what the heck? That's so wrong. Can't do that. Whatever his mindset is. I'm not going to ask him like, hey, did you do this because of this? You know what I mean? Because deny until you die or whatever. But the way I think about it as a business standpoint, right? Because we all like everything. Okay. Before I get on a little tangent here, you don't want people just taking, time off all the time.
Right.
So in my mind, his move playing chess here is saying, okay, we'll cut his days so he doesn't want to take days off all the time. Because why would you want to hire someone who's just like, oh, days off, holidays off, da-da-da, you know what I mean? And abuse the system and expect no repercussion. So, like, good move on his part. Like, kudos, whatever, like, the reason is. And I'm not mad about it, because as a business person and
I get
mindset,
that. As a manager, like, this is your first vacation, right?
Yes.
And how long have you worked there?
Since February.
See, bad.
Right.
See, I don't agree with that. You can't make assumptions about your employees. You just have to expect them to do their job.
Right. But you also don't want to, like, because, like, they're basically biting the hand that feeds them, right?
Right.
Because imagine if I come back from my vacation and I have all my days, like, as if nothing happened. Then I'm like, I can take as many days off as I want all the time.
Yeah.
But if he goes, you only get one day this week, or maybe 2 days this week.
Yeah.
It really makes you think, okay, is taking these days off really that worth it? And I'm not against saying like no one deserves days off.
Right.
Just as a business standpoint,
Yeah.
And see, and that's the thing, because what is business? Like the principle of business is like problem solving.
Right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like if you have a business, you're problem solving whatever problem is out there. You know what I mean? People are hungry, so you problem solve, you build a restaurant, or like anything. You're problem solving, dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get that.
And so it's like, how do you go around that? How do you think like that? And a lot of people, they complain, or at least like when I talk to some people, they always complain how the system is like messed up.
Yeah.
But then it's like, okay, you're looking at it in this angle, you should look at it at a different angle. I mean, you should always be open-minded.
Right, exactly.
First of all, you know. And one of the things is, I think we have a question coming in right now. Thank you, sir. Okay.
Yeah.
I can't say this on the air.
Can't say it on the air,
But-
but I do agree with Joe.
Playing mind games, be happy you show up. Yes, very true. You know,
Yeah.
the first time I took a day off, I had an operation on my leg, and
Yeah.
and I was like,
Come on, Sam.
I can barely even walk.
Yeah.
You know, so I called off, and he's like, why didn't you just put in your 2 weeks, like 2 week ahead? You know, I was like, honestly, I didn't even know I was gonna have this operation right now. You know, and I went back the next day to work, and I'm telling you, like the operation, like they cauterized the inside of my leg, right?
Yeah.
And like one of the symptoms, I guess you can say, is like it feels like your veins are getting pulled, right?
Ooh.
Because what happened was they sealed off a valve, so now
Yeah.
the blood has to travel through other veins or other routes, you know?
Yeah.
So when I am walking, it's more blood in each vein, so it is the vein stretching. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm like, I am limping hardcore at this restaurant, and like, I don't even know what to think, because it's like, all right, I took the day off, and I just got hired on. I felt kind of bad. I just got hired, but now I'm asking for, days off, whatever.
Yeah. But it's for surgery, so I get that.
Turn to find out that I should be walking as much as possible. So I was like, okay.
Okay, yeah.
So when I asked them, I asked my doctor at first, I said, hey, can I get the day off, or should I take the day off? And she was like, no, actually you should be on your leg and be walking around as much as possible. I was like, I can't believe this. But like being a server, that's pretty extensive. You know what I'm saying? That's like 10,000 steps.
Minimum.
Minimum, but yeah, and everyone. No, it's not. At the end of the day. Well, yeah, and
Yeah.
it was. I'm better now, and honestly, that operation was like I'll do it all over again. The only problem that I have is like my right leg is numb, like the
yeah.
right front side of my leg. But compared to what I had before, over the top, I'll do it all over again. Knowing that my leg was gonna go numb, yeah, I'll still take it.
Yeah, definitely.
You know,
But yeah, dude, like just cutting people's days off after a vacation, I think is the worst thing you can do. From someone who was a manager with management experience, the number one surefire way to get people to quit is cutting their hours.
True.
The number one way to if you want someone fired, but you can't fire them, you cut their hours. That's how you
Right.
get them to quit.
Yeah. Yeah.
So either they're trying to cut loose ends, or just from a management standpoint.
Okay, so all right, now we're gonna get into this little debate. And by the way, if you guys are just tuning in, you're listening to Whatever Works on KCAA. We're talking about work ethic and all that good stuff. So being a former manager,
Yeah.
if someone took a couple days off, that's fine, let it slide. But
Yeah.
what if
But it's the communication too.
okay, and what if it was a continuous thing?
Well, you would talk to them. You wouldn't just cut their hours.
Right, and what if it's
Yeah.
like all important, a wedding, or got to take my mom to the airport, or like
Yeah.
major things, but it's a continual, pattern that you see with an
Yeah.
employee.
Well, okay, so you got to meet them halfway.
Meet them halfway. Okay, how does a manager meet them halfway?
I said I'll be fair and I'll give you half of these, but you got to move around and do the other half.
Well, it's not like you're
Yeah.
gonna plan ahead, like, oh, I'm gonna end up in the hospital, 6 months down. You know what I'm saying?
No. That's major. That is required. You have to take time off for medical. That's by law.
Okay.
If it's like, oh, it's my cousin's dog's birthday. No.
All right. So
Come in 9 to 5, bro.
all right. So you say, all right, you can only have half of them, and you got holidays, right?
Okay, you have to take holidays off.
You have to take holidays off.
Well, at Leslie's, yeah.
See,
I'm thinking of management from what I'm used to.
okay.
Yeah.
But now you got to think even like a broader aspect, like a bigger, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I get that, but when you hire people, you're investing in them. Is this person going to do well to make us money?
You would hope so.
It's a business investment, right?
Right.
So if they're not investing well, you have to talk to them, and you could strong arm them and just start giving write-ups, whatever. I've never been that person. I've always talked to them first, pulled them aside. Hey, you know, we see this path that we're going down. That's not benefiting either of us. So we need to change course and do this because of this reason. And then if they keep doing it, now I have to give you the write-up because now my boss is looking at me.
Right.
Why did this person keep doing this and this and this?
But what if that side, in their perspective, seems innocent? I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm doing, protocol. I'm giving you my 2 weeks in advance. Like, I need this, I need these days off.
If it's 2 weeks in advance over, it's not a problem.
Every time?
If you're a good manager, I've never had a problem with it in 4 years.
But I have seen people abuse the system like no other.
Okay, here's the thing.
Because it's not even between you and them. It's like, okay, the other peers around you.
Yeah.
Oh, he's always taking days off.
Yeah.
So how many days off can everybody have?
Well, here's the thing too. Every one of my employees liked working with me.
Okay, and why is that?
Because I'm a great manager.
What makes you a great manager?
I'm personable.
Okay.
I don't give write-ups the first time. I talk to people. I'm a great coach for customer service. And so basically, if you come and talk to me, you have something going on. I know you're a good worker. Like, Sam, what if your sales are the best? Okay. Best in not only my store, but in the district. Okay? The way I see it, and, my bosses don't like this, but the way I see it, you can have 4 vacations a year. Sure. Take a week off. Take 4 weeks off out of the year.
Well, everyone gets what? 1 week total out of the year?
You have to, in sales, you have to put in what you put out. Okay?
Okay.
If employee B works half as hard as you, I'm not going to give him all that time off. If you're number one at what you're at and you're good and you're personable and your customer service is there, I like to reflect that and show my appreciation. Because the way I see it, too, is just because I was a manager, I can't give raises. That's HR.
Right.
Yeah. So, so sorry, Sam, I can't give you an extra $1 an hour, but I can give you 2 weeks off the year. I think that's
no
fair.
pay?
Well, it's vacation.
Okay, so with pay.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. So there is this book that I want to read, and it's called, what was it, How to Be a Leader Without Being, the boss or something like that.
Right, yeah.
How do you lead without being a leader, And that is something that I want to really, that I aspire in, because the fact of the matter is, it's okay, even if you're not the manager, even if you're not the CEO, what you do really reflects on everyone else's work.
Right.
You know what I mean? I usually just keep it pushing, but I experience when people come to work and they do, a sloppy job, or they just barely do it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It affects everybody.
Right.
And then the same thing in reverse. If you do an amazing job and people look up to you, and you're not even the top dog, you know what I mean? You can change the system and change how everything works.
Yeah. It's like an ecosystem.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's where it comes to okay, someone who takes too many days off at a time, or just abuses that system. First of all, at the top, they have to look down and be okay, overall everything looks good. What can we work on? Yeah. And then at the bottom, it's they're looking at the top and it's okay, this is how they operate and this is how successful they are.
Right.
So I should work accordingly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a standard of work ethic that everyone should be applying to themselves.
Oh, I totally agree. And once you're a manager, you'll be able to tell the difference. I'll be able to tell if you are taking days off just because, or that you really need them. Based off your body language, how you talk to me, how you view me as a manager,
Yeah, that's true.
as a person.
That's a big one.
you know, because one of the things that I feel like people respected me for is because I didn't try to be their boss. I tried to be their equal. You know what I mean? So I'm going out there and getting sales, you know, left and right. And you know, I have competitions with my team. You know, hey, I just sold 3 equipment pads, you know. I'm top dog, you know. And then they'll be like, "Oh, okay." And then they'll, you know,
They'll start working.
yeah, but like, and it's all friendly competition, you know, and you know, it's all sales training. Every day you're training, and it's important to tell your employees that too. You know, every day I'm learning too. You know, just because I became a manager doesn't mean I stopped learning. I'm
Right.
just teaching you.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
The thing is, it's like, okay, NFL players, any sports or any professional thing, like, do you think they stopped training once they got in the pro leagues? No. They train all the time
And way harder.
and way harder. You know,
Yeah.
I posted a picture. I was in a training class for real estate, and I said even the pros still train.
Yeah.
And like someone commented like, "Why are you still in training? Like, what are you training for?" I'm like, things change almost every single day, especially right now in the real estate world. Man,
I'm sure it's up and down.
things
every
are
day.
popping off, bro, and it's crazy because I get a lot of questions all the time,
Yeah.
and sometimes I can't even answer them because there's just so much going on, you know. And
Yeah.
I'm a seasoned real estate agent. I'm doing it for a little over a year and a half, but like the law changes all the time, bro.
Yeah.
People get sued all the time, and then they're like, okay, now we have to adjust from here. You know, we have to tighten up. You know, things like that. And
Yeah.
that's all business is. It's just like working the kinks, you know? There's
Yeah.
nothing perfect in this world. No human being's perfect,
Right.
you know? And so no business is going to be ran perfect either.
Right. Exactly.
You know what I mean? And it's just all about like working together, figuring it out, and trying to make it, you know, profitable for everybody.
Right. Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
And I was reading this book, and it's called Your Next 5 Moves. Your Next 5 Moves by Pat Davis, I think.
Yeah.
And he was talking about, you know, when you have employees who are just there to work 9 to 5, they're going to do the bare minimum because they're getting paid bare minimum, right?
Right.
So how do you, for one, keep your employees happy, keep them growing, and for two, actually make them feel like they want to, you know, keep the company like as if it's theirs, you know?
Yeah.
And it's all about, like, for example, I have a friend who's in a business, and he was like, look, I'm looking to delegate, but these people, they don't really care for my business as much as I do, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, well, why don't you give them part of the equity in the business so they feel like they're part of the business, so they take care of what they need to do in the business as if it's their own.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because if you just say, hey, I'm just going to pay you minimum wage, they're just going to do minimum wage,
Yeah.
you know, stuff.
And then you can't blame them.
Right. So it's like, okay,
Even though corporate tries to.
you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And so it's like, it's one thing to like motivate someone,
Yeah.
but it's another thing to like keep them going. Because like motivation is only temporary, dude. Like motivation is just a feeling that comes in waves.
Yeah.
You know, oh, I feel motivated, da 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 da. But are you gonna feel motivated forever? No, bro. That's where discipline comes in.
And that's what I was gonna say. Motivation is like happiness.
Yeah,
Happiness
comes and
is
goes.
temporary.
Yeah, and the worst.
And then discipline is like joy.
Mm,
You know, it's how you reflect. It's how people see you.
right, because
So
you can still find, not always, but for the most of the part, you can find joy in almost anything.
right.
Right?
Yeah.
No matter what you're doing. But happiness, that is attached to something.
Yep.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Whether it's an action or a material, like, oh, this makes me happy, or what I'm doing makes me happy.
Yeah.
But overall speaking, like, that's the same thing with motivation.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
I had someone close to me who is kind of like upside down in life right now, hitting rock bottom. And my brother was talking to him, and he got him motivated to join the military, right?
What?
Super psyched out. He's like, let's do it. I'm ready. You know, I'm ready to change. And he was like, all right, I will pick you up and we'll go tomorrow. Okay. That motivation only lasted that day.
I know what you're talking about.
Because the next day he was like, nah,
Yeah.
I really don't want to go.
Yeah.
You know? And that's the same thing with like, with business. And I highly encourage people to really like start their own business, or at least work in a business to be part of the business.
Right,
Not just
exactly.
work in it. Like to be an entrepreneur. Like there's someone that can, you know, be part of a business and work their way up, and that's what they should do.
Yeah.
You know? And then there's other people who should really start their own business and get going, because at the end of the day, you know what's going to happen? You're going to work at this job, you're going to feel secured for X amount of years, and then all of a sudden that job just, you know, either cuts you off for whatever reason, pay cuts, whatever. Like, you're not really secured
No.
in a job that you don't own,
Right.
right? It is tougher at the start to build your own business or be part of a business. But at the end of the day, only you can break, you know, like you can break yourself. But if you just work for a job or work into a career, you have no control of what they can do to you,
Exactly.
you know?
Yeah, I agree with that.
And so, and that's the thing. I was having a conversation and she was like, okay, people at McDonald's are making what, $20 an hour?
Now, yeah, minimum.
Which is more than what people make in some careers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, okay,
They make more than teachers.
bro. And okay, so so it goes like this. Why?
I don't have an answer for that.
I'll tell you why, bro. Because they don't want people. They don't. They want people.
in corporate.
Yes, bro.
Yeah.
They want to control the people.
Mm-hmm.
If people are just chasing money, okay, perfect. We'll raise the minimum wage. You know what raising the minimum wage does?
Makes everything else more expensive.
Bro, small businesses,
Yeah.
they cannot afford to pay their employees, right? So big corporations say, I can do that, no problem. So now it's just big corporations hiring the people. You can't start your own business. You can't hire people. Not only that, people who retire that have a consistent income of the same income they're making,
Yeah.
but then inflation and increase and everything else, like over time, they're like, I won't be able to afford where I live. I won't be able to afford to do this because
Yeah,
they're on a
dude.
fixed income.
Yeah,
You know
dude,
what I
that's
mean?
the big thing right now is businesses are buying out other businesses.
Yes.
Like,
It's big businesses buying small
yeah,
businesses.
like Microsoft just bought like Activision for like billions,
I'm sure.
and these video game companies are fighting right now over the smaller like developers
Right.
to make their stuff more exclusive so people can buy their stuff only.
Dude, yeah.
And it's hurting the developers like a lot because you know these small developers, you know, were started in a garage just like Microsoft. They're personable, they're family owned, and now a big corporation now owns them. You know, the flavor is now gray.
Right. But they just
Yeah.
don't want people to branch out. Like, it's getting harder and
Yeah.
harder to be an entrepreneur,
Yeah,
to own your own business, to start up your own business.
yeah,
And
and the risks are higher.
don't take my advice, guys. I ain't no professional, all right? But I was talking to someone close to me, and she was like, oh, in 5 years, I'm going to retire, get my retirement money, and then start my business. So, and it usually takes 3 to 5 years to get a business up and going,
Yeah,
right? So I was like, okay, in that duration, that's 10 years. 10 years before your feet even get off the ground.
right.
Okay. So I was like, hey, here's a thought. You take your money out now. Okay, you get a penalty, right? Like, oh, I'm not going to make that much. But you start now and then get your business lifted off in 5 years
Yep.
rather than 10 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? As long as you know what to do with money, like if you know where your money is going,
Yeah.
if you know what you want to do with your money, if you're doing compound interest, if you are financially literate, and know how to move money around, you don't need to wait until retirement.
No.
You don't need to wait to like not get penalized. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
And then like another thing is like they just raised the retirement age or something like that. I remember when it was 50 years old, and then it went up to 55, and then now it's like 67. You know what I mean?
It's 72 for us.
See?
Yeah.
So they want people working all the time.
Yeah.
And they just want to keep you in it. You know what I mean? They don't want you to figure out loopholes. Like eventually we're all going to have to figure it out because we're going to be in a situation that we can't really be in. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it's to do that beforehand. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's like we don't have to struggle in order to pick ourselves up. You know,
Yeah,
we don't have to have our back against the wall. Okay. Rick. So I just got all right, so this is what's going to happen, guys. We're going to take a 5-minute break.
Yeah.
And when we come back, we're going to have Rick. Okay, now they're just talking to the mic. All right, guys, we're going to take a 5-minute break. But when we come back, we're going to continue talking about work ethic and the jobs around here and what we should all be doing. And hopefully you guys can be inspired by us and hopefully keep going.
We'll be back in 5 minutes.
Thanks, guys.
Hey, feeling good, like I should. When in dark, walk around the neighborhood.
From the Bureau of Economic Geology, this is Earth Date. Eyes are not just windows to the soul. They've been key to the evolution of life as we know it. Predators develop binocular vision to give them better depth perception when hunting prey. As a response, prey developed eyes on the sides or tops of their heads for a wide field of view to detect predators. A raptor can spot a rabbit from more than a mile away. Butterflies see ultraviolet light to find flowers and mates. But there was a time long ago when life on Earth was blind. Then, about 500 million years ago, trilobites evolved. Much like today's horseshoe crabs, they scuttled around the ocean floor looking for marine worms or carrion to scavenge. And to help find food, they began to develop eyes. This amazing new capability allowed them to spread across the globe, adapt to different environments, and diversify into as many as 20,000 species, ranging in size from a fingertip to a trash can lid. Trilobite eyes forced other organisms to evolve defense mechanisms like locomotion and camouflage and eyes to compete with them for food and to avoid being eaten. Some scientists think that trilobite eyes encouraged the explosion of diverse life forms that led to the dinosaurs. Vision enabled trilobites to dominate the Earth for more than 100 million years, and although they eventually went extinct, vision has survived across the millennia. So next time you use your eyes, thank the lowly trilobite for getting the party started. I'm Scott Tinker, and this has been your Date with Earth.
Earth Date is produced by the Bureau of Economic Geology at the University of Texas at Austin. Earth Date is researched by Julie Hennings, written by Harry Lynch, and distributed by Mark Blunt and Casey Walker. For more stories, follow us on Facebook or visit earthdate.org.
Tune in to The Ferran Dozier Show. Music marks place and time, the soundtrack to life. Sunday nights at 8 p.m. on KCAA Radio. Playing the hottest hits and the coolest conversations. Sunday nights at 8 p.m. on The Ferran Dozier Show. With an array of music, talk, sports, community outreach, and veteran resources. With hits from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and today's hits. The Ferran Dozier Show on KCAA Radio. On all available streaming platforms. And 106.5 FM and 1050 AM. The Ferran Dozier Show on KCAA Radio.
Hi there, this is Chris Klein, Investment Manager for Capstone Wealth Management. Hey, I've been through the early 1990s bond market implosion, the late 1990s stock market melt-up, the 2000 to 2002 dot-com crash, the rate hike scare in the mid-2000s, the great financial crisis, the pandemic-induced 2020 collapse, the inflation madness, and, of most recent memory, the 2022 bear market. You know what all these have in common? We helped people just like you navigate their finances through. Hey, my boys say I'm old, but I say I'm battle-tested. Not only that, but I've seen the underbelly of Wall Street, and I know how to call a turd a turd. Sometimes the best investment is the one you don't make. But without experience, how would you ever really know? I can help. I've been blessed to work for a lot of people who have entrusted tens of millions of dollars of their hard-earned capital to me and my team. When you become a part of the Capstone family, you are treated like family. If you'd like to see how we can successfully manage your money and to find out if there's a fit, let's start a conversation. The best way to do that is to shoot us an email. info@careformywealth.com. That's info@careformywealth.com. One more time, info@careformywealth.com. I look forward to working for you and your family.
In these trying times, many people are depressed and lost because the future of our society is up in the air. If you're turning to substance abuse because you're feeling there is no hope, we have a way for you to see the light. SAD, or Stop Abusing Drugs, is a nonprofit organization that will help you at no cost to you stop abusing drugs. Founded by Tony Navarchi, SAD will refer you to the top detox doctors in your area. SAD will pay every and any cost for you, including doctor visits, counseling, and medications. If you need help, SAD is there for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If you or a loved one needs help, or if you have a suggestion or idea for Tony, you can reach out to him by calling 844-493-3386. That's 844-493-3386. Or email Tony at tony@saddetox.com. That's Tony at saddetox.com.
Hey, feeling good, like I should. When in dark, walk around the neighborhood. Feeling blessed, never stressed. Got that sunshine on my Sunday best.
Welcome back, everybody. You're listening to Whatever Works on KCAA 1050 AM and Express 106.5 FM. I'm your host, Sam Works.
And I'm Kyle Kerrigan.
Let's get straight to it, you guys. If you guys are just tuning in, you missed the first half. You guys can go back and listen to it. Just go on our website, kcaradio.com, or you can find us on YouTube or Instagram. Spotify or Instagram
or Facebook.
We're gonna have to take that button out or something. If you guys, you guys can't hear the operator, board op, talking to us over the headphones, but
we have a ghost in the system.
Yeah. Call it Casper. Yeah. Anyways, I'm glad you guys are listening to us. If we're talking your ear off, hey, it's okay. We only got like another 20 minutes anyway, so just bear with us. We were talking about work and jobs and, you know, just society in general and what we should all be doing. And at the end of the day, we should just be striving to do more.
Always.
You know, everyone says, oh, just do what you can. I like to tell myself, do what you can't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of times, and that's a good example for everything, you know? Mm-hmm. For example, you go to the gym, and you're like, okay, I can do 10 reps, right?
Yeah.
But that's limiting yourself.
Yeah.
Do what you can't. You know what I mean? You say you can do 10, why don't you hit 12? Do 11. You know, try your hardest. Yeah. If you're in the office, right, and you're like, oh, I can stay for another hour, stay for 2 hours.
Dude,
you know,
our minds are so crazy.
It's unbelievable what our minds are.
Because, like, once we set that limit, it's hard to break.
Yes.
And that's like, and that's the same part of your brain with addiction. That's the same part of your brain with, you know, rewarding. So it's like, you know, don't limit yourself. You got to keep going, even if it hurts.
Yeah. And honestly, addiction is so hard to combat with.
It is, yeah.
But it's the most simplest, like, thing you, like, okay, so when you're addicted to something, It's an action of doing something, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's like, okay, I'm addicted to the gym, and you go to the gym, or I'm addicted to nicotine, or I'm addicted to being on my phone. Okay, it's literally doing less. Like something that you're addicted to, you should just don't do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so the fact that it's an action of doing something that you can't really hold yourself back to is just mind blowing. I mean, we all have it. Like we're all addicted to something. Like I have addictions, you have addictions, we all do. But it's just the thought of like just not doing it. You know what I mean? Because like some people, they complain about doing stuff, but it's like, okay, for this result, if you want this, it's just don't do it. You know, but then your mind, like, it craves it, it wants it. And you know, some addictions are good in moderation, like going to the gym. You know, don't want to go to the gym too much, because then you can start having problems like with time and like people, and even your body breaking up. Like when you work out, like the only time your muscle grows is when you're at rest. Like when you are recovering. Your muscles don't grow when you're in the gym. It's all about recovery, right? So when people say, oh, I'm going to go to the gym every single day and I'm going to grow some muscles or I'm going to get bigger, that may be true. But if you let your body heal, that's the process of when your body's building up those muscles. Because every time you go to the gym, you're breaking those muscles down, you know? And your body's like, okay, I need to prepare myself, make myself bigger and stronger, so when that event happens again, I don't break down. And that's why you have to push yourself every single time you go to the gym. You know what I mean? When people say, hey, I go to the gym, I've been doing it for 5 years, I have 0 results, that's because your body is already used to what you're doing, and it's not doing anything to your body. You know what I mean?
It's just routine.
Yeah, it's just routine.
Yeah.
And I think the worst thing is when you are consistent with no progress.
Yeah, then you're just plateauing, and then it's, you know, you're not really doing anything.
And me personally, I'm not even talking about like the gym, but like, what's the point of like doing something consistently and having 0 progress?
There's no point.
There is no point.
Yeah.
You know? And so I encourage everybody, even myself, to like keep track, reflect. You know, we talked about this before. We had a whole hour segment about reflecting.
Yeah.
Self-reflection.
Self-reflection is the best.
You know, I put it, so to give you guys, take notes, okay? The abbreviation for system, right, stands for save yourself time, energy, money, right? And when you have a system, you're not running around with your head cut off trying to do 10 million things at once.
Right.
There's always stuff to do. You'll always find something. But if you don't come up with a system, you can't be efficient, you can't be organized, you can't, you know, there's so many things. And like right now, that is the thing that I'm working on for myself. I'm reflecting on how I can build a system and, you know, stick to it, you know?
Right.
And one of them, part of my system is self-reflecting, you know, self-reflecting twice a week. Like just figure out, okay, this week, what have I done? What do I need to do? What are my accomplishments? What are my regrets? You know, things like that. And just kind of like adjust from there.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's good, especially like writing them down too.
Writing them down is great.
Yeah. And like, especially like having a whiteboard or just like the first thing you do when you wake up, especially like your regrets, right? Like once you write down your regrets and you see them, then you know this is going to change.
Right. Oh, it has to change, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like because now it's in your face.
Right.
The first thing you do when you wake up, now it's in your face.
See, with me, I printed out my system, and I have one on the door of my bedroom. I have the system in my car, and I have it in the office because, you know, you tell yourself, okay, I'm going to do this, 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 and this. I'm going to focus on this, this, and this, and this. And you have it like on your phone notes or something. And you look at it in the morning. That's great. You're on track. But then throughout the day, you get sidetracked.
Yeah.
And then you forget about
That's
it and
natural.
this and this. And so, like, I put the systems in front of me. So wherever I'm at, I see it, I look at it, and I'm like, okay, back on track.
Right.
You know? And another cool system, something that I learned that I'm going to start implementing is that, you know, we all have self-improvements that we want to do every day, right?
Yeah.
But then we get caught up throughout the whole entire day, and by the end of the night, you did everything you were supposed to do except for work on yourself, which is the number one thing you need to do is work on yourself, right? Because if you can work on yourself, master yourself, know yourself, then if you can, like in the Bible, it says the person who can control basically his mind and his soul can control a city. If you can control yourself, your emotions, your systems, your habits, everything, your patterns, then you can control anything else that comes your way.
Yeah.
Right? And so working on that is probably one of the biggest things you can do. But a lot of people, they get caught up throughout the day, and at the end of the night, they're like, oh, you know, I told myself I was going to go to the gym today. Gym's closed, didn't get to do it, or I'm too tired, this and this, that or that.
Right,
you know, I was going to clean my room. So I heard on this podcast where they're like, okay, instead of making appointments, you know, 9 a.m., 10 a.m., 11, you know, set your appointments later in the evening. Set everything later in the evening so your morning is open to you.
Yeah.
Because people say, okay, I have this, and this to do tomorrow, so I'm going to boom, 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 knock it out in the morning, right? But where's your self-improvement? You know, where's your time? You know, if you knock them out later in the evening, that leaves the morning time open for you. Like, you know, some people, they go to the gym before they go to work because they feel good when they come out. You know, they come out of the gym, they're like, all right, I feel great. That's a win today. Now I'm going to go to work and I'm going to kill it. You know what I mean? Rather than just not doing it. And so that's a good system.
Yeah.
And another thing that I learned is, like, when you do set your appointments, right, you can tell whoever you're making the appointment with and say, hey, the meeting's going to end at 4. We can start the meeting at 3 o'clock. But if you say, hey, the meeting starts at 3, right, should end at 4, then it's like it can linger on. You know what I mean? Right. It starts at 3, but then until 5 o'clock. But if you say, hey, the meeting's going to end at 4, so we can meet up at 3, you know, that gives you a more structured system when it comes to, like, getting stuff done.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
I agree with that.
And so I just learned this the other week, so I'm going to start implementing it. I'm actually really excited about that. And
yeah, dude, you have to let us know next week.
Right, because I actually have a meeting tomorrow with my partner, and usually during our meetings we talk about the week. We have our briefing. We talk about everything, catch up, and I always have like these new ideas and new all this stuff, and this is gonna be one of them. Because a lot of times we're like, hey, let's meet up at 12 o'clock, and then we don't have an end time. So it can go from 12 to 2 or 12 to 3, right. 12 to 1:30. But if I say, hey, let's have our meeting, the meeting is going to end at 2, right?
Yeah.
So that means whatever time we meet up beforehand, as long as we're both aware, meeting ends at 2, we can get stuff done. Because when you're talking about like the mind, how powerful it is, if you say, hey, I'm going to clean my room, that's going to take me all day to do it. Yeah, it's going to take you all day to do it. But
Right.
if you say, hey, I'm going to clean my room in 2 hours, that room is going to be clean in 2 hours, more likely than not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's just how people think. And another thing, people are like, oh, now I got to start eating better. I got to start eating, this and this, diet, lifestyle. Bro, to tell you the truth, the majority of people eat roughly the same amount of, like the same types of foods throughout their diets, right? So it is very common for someone to have, eggs for breakfast, sandwich for lunch, steak for dinner, right? Or it's very common for someone to just eat fast food.
Because it's routine.
It's routine. So because we are...
And we're creatures of habit.
Creatures of habit, right?
Yeah.
So if you just changed your habit of saying, okay, these are the 7 foods that I usually eat, now I'm going to replace it with these 7 foods. Now it's just going to be It's just your lifestyle. It's not a diet. Like when people say, "Oh, I'm on a diet," okay, I'm thinking that's only temporary. You know, but if they say, "Hey, this is my lifestyle," that's what it's gonna be like.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's all about changing the mind. Like when someone says, "Hey, I am 24 days sober," right? That means they're keeping track. Like that's saying like, "Hey, I'm not quitting. I'm just, putting on a pause," because you shouldn't be keeping track of how long you've been sober.
No.
It should just be like, I'm sober.
Yeah.
This is my lifestyle. Not like, hey, I'm 24 days sober, because then it's like, okay, you're keeping track, and one day your track record is gonna end.
Yeah, and like,
it's just do it or don't.
Yeah, and in that regards, I think it's important to look back every once in a while.
Okay, she's watching. All right.
And
hi, Ashley.
And so like you always get those coins too, like especially when you're sober.
Mm-hmm.
It's always like the 1 year coin or the 5 year, the 10 year. I think those are cool, but like going, hey Sam, I'm 2,163 days sober from this thing. It's like, why is this still on your mind,
bro?
You know what I mean?
You can't be looking in the future if you're always looking in the past.
Exactly. So it's like, it just doesn't make sense.
So a lot of people, they're moving on, but like they're holding on as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Where
and
the biggest change, you got to let go.
You got to let go.
You got to let go.
And so
that's for addiction. That's for relationships.
Yeah.
That's for relationships is the biggest one too.
No, that's a big one. Because relationships really takes a toll on you. Better or worse, like, being in a relationship can really build you up. And honestly, in all the relationships that I've had, whether they're good or bad, looking at it, I've always learned something from it. I've always, like, my character has been built on it.
Yeah.
And
me too, yeah.
It should help you for the next relationship that you get in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And hopefully everyone learns from stuff, because a lot of people go through things, go through tragedies, go through moments in life, and they don't reflect on, okay, what did I learn? What was the lesson? And they always say, like, God's going to keep, like, doing stuff to you until you learn your lesson. Like, oh, why does this always happen to me? I used to get scammed all the time for money. I used to lose hundreds of dollars all the time because I think, like, oh, this is good, this is good, this is good, and then I get scammed. You know what I mean? And, like, the lesson for me is, like, okay, don't fall for that type of stuff.
Right.
Things that are just, like, too easy to come, especially when it comes to finances. Like, I've been scammed through Cash App. I've been scammed through, like, a lot of things. Yeah. And I've always told myself, I'm not going to fall for that again.
Yeah.
And then, you know what happens? God goes, okay, I'm going to give you the same principle, but a different scenario, like a different situation. And, like, you're blindsided by it. You're not like, oh, this is the same situation, I know what to do. No, it's like, okay, he's going to throw you a little curveball, but let's see if you actually learned your lesson.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah. And he's going to keep doing that until you progress, until you reflect, until you learn,
Yeah.
And so a lot of people, they're like, they look up to some people, and it's all of our jobs to, like, inspire everybody.
Right.
Inspire yourself to be the best version you can be. Like, it is so hard to do that, almost impossible, but it's just a constant progress. Yes, I got scammed through Cash App. Oh, you gotta tell me about that. Yes. I'll tell you that after the show. But, guys, it is coming to the close. I want to thank everyone for listening to the show.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you for everyone on Instagram. Shout out to everyone. And shout out to our sponsor.
SNJRadio.com. No negative news, no politics, just feel good music.
And stay tuned for the 8 o'clock show with Farron. Yeah. And we'll see you guys next week. Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday.
When in Durga, walk around the neighborhood, feeling blessed, never stressed. Got that sunshine on my Sunday bed.
We supply the words. You paint the picture. KCAA.
Eat bread, lose weight. That's right. Eat bread, lose weight. Hello, everybody. I'm Joseph from